What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. I just got laid off. So it's not clickbait. I actually did. I'm in my garage here. I've got a little water because I thought I might just kind of speak off the cuff for a little while. I'm actually going to dive a little deeper in this on my podcast so you can kind of see a little bit more detail and background there, or hear it at least. But I'm in my garage because I think the first thing that people should probably be asking, and the question that I want to answer, because it's something I've been thinking about, is are you going to sell your cars? And if you might be able to see here, I've been super fortunate to have my Maserati Ghibli here, my Maserati Grand Sport, as well as one of my all-time favorites, the Plymouth Prowler over there. And so one of the things that I've been doing is thinking a lot about it. And there are some things that I want to disclose that, are considerations. So first of all, the answer is yes, I will be selling a good portion of my cars. Now, don't feel bad for me. I think I have been prepared for getting laid off. It's not exactly the biggest surprise in the world, although when it happens, it's not exactly something that you want to happen. And I think transitioning between jobs is never quite as fluid, at least as corporations think it is, right? Because if they give you a few weeks of severance or maybe even a couple months, right, it's actually usually very hard to move jobs that quickly. So I don't know that severance ever really carries you over. But I will say, you shouldn't feel bad for me. I've been really fortunate in life. So I've been working pretty consistently almost my entire working career. My very first job out of college, I actually was laid off. And so that was kind of a moment that has stuck with me for a long time. And ever since then, it's always kind of made me a little skittish about jobs. And so I have generally been, since then, kind of a prepper in the world of job security. I've always kind of worried about it. And so I've done, some saving and things like that to try to weather any of those types of things that happen. Now, that being said, I have never just amassed enough money to say retire or never have to worry about working again. I will absolutely do that. And I'll probably start working on getting a new job here fairly soon. But one of the things that, no matter what happens, when you have some sort of income interruption, what do you do? How quickly and how nimble are you to get your financial footprint as small as possible? And one of the things that I was thinking about before getting laid off was, what am I going to do with my cars? So I have these three cars. I have my Audi as my daily driver. I have a Porsche Cayenne, which is outside at the moment. And there's a big reason for that, because the reveal here is that not only am I going to sell a bunch of cars, but some of those are now sold already. So I have actually known about getting downsized here for a little while, longer than I'm telling you, because I'm kind of in my very last few days here at my company. And so kind of winding that down here pretty quickly. But I've known about it for the last few months. And even for this whole last year, I really read the tea leaves and saw this coming, although I didn't know when it might come. And, there's part of me that hopes that it doesn't, that you can kind of weather through and hit some benchmarks in the meantime. So the first thing I want to tell you is that selling the cars is not specifically because I lost my job. One of the things that I have been thinking about here is the car that I've really wanted, or the type of car that I really wanted, was some sort of mid-engined sports car. And I've never had a mid-engine car before in my life. There are other cars that I love, including the cars that I have here, have all been on my short list. And the reason I picked up all of these was either because a really good deal came around. That was really the genesis of it. So I have a pretty long list of cars that I love. And when one of those showed up, particularly below market, I would take the opportunity and maybe pick one of them up. And that started with the Prowler. And then this Grand Sport was something I was watching. And then this Ghibli too. All of these were kind of the result of just constantly watching the online ads now. But if you are of a certain age, you might remember those newspaper-based magazines, Auto Trader. I think that's what it was called, Auto Trader. Man, I just love flipping through those and looking at cars and the pictures and the prices and the descriptions. I always just thought about buying them. So one of the things that I always wanted was a mid-engine car. I won't call it a supercar, but a mid-engine sports car. Something like the Lotus Exige, or really the Alfa Romeo 4C has always been on my list. But obviously cars that go into a higher price point would be dream cars, Ferrari 360, 355, Lamborghini Gallardo. All those cars have been obviously way at the top of my list, but the prices have never really been affordable on them. But some of the other cars like the Alfa Romeo or even the Lotus were a little bit closer. And one of my thoughts were that even though I love these cars and I would love to keep them, there are a couple of pressure points on you. One is just the insurance of owning a variety of cars. So right now I have 5 cars, and the monthly insurance premium is a little over $300 a month. So, I have almost $4,000 a year of carrying costs on cars, not to mention the maintenance and the gas and all of that, but just to insure them. And on top of that, most of these cars are under kind of low use coverage. So some of the cars have, and I don't remember what it is, but maybe 5,000 or 6,000 mile annual limits. And the insurance company does do odometer checks. So they'll ask for those every once in a while, once a year. Now, I will also say that I have not done some videos on some of these cars, primarily because I have not driven them enough. And I have wanted to put some GoPros in them, drive it around, get you some footage of that, particularly the Prowler. Interesting, when we did the odometer check on that Prowler, I've only put on about 130 miles on it in the last 12 months. And that's just pathetic. And that's one of the things that I was considering is that, you have these cars, they're costing you money, and you just don't drive them that much. And one of the big reasons is I don't have enough garage space. So you can see the way I've got the cars packed in here. I've got them on skates right now. I did a review on that. And that was really to get them out of the cold for the winter and then leave the less important cars outside, but get the important cars in here. But what it means is I can't get these cars out easily. In fact, it's kind of a big project to get them moved over, get them fired up. You have them on battery tenders and all that. And so one of the thoughts was just, well, should I just downsize in general? Should I kind of pick my favorites, keep them, and then move on from some of the older ones that I really don't get driven that much? Well, that's probably a prudent move. And I wish I had a garage or a barn or somewhere big. I wish I were one of the high roller YouTubers that have, their own garages. I'm looking at you, Tavarish. But, we're just not at that point. And, most of the cars here, came from my earned money, not from YouTube. My YouTube channel is insignificant compared to a lot of the big ones. And even the big ones, I've got to meet some people that are doing YouTube in a much bigger way. The money is pretty Spartan. You really have to get to some really big numbers in order to be really, really meaningful. That being said, this channel, through the ads that roll on it, as well as when you support the channel by buying through my links below, I get a small cut of that here. And that helps, me purchase a lot of the stuff that you see that we get to share and I get to review here on the channel. And so it's kind of a nice little circle that helps support itself. But it kind of was its own ecosystem because I had my primary work, which helped me just kind of cover my living expenses and lifestyle and all of that. So with that going away, one, I'll probably have more time for YouTube, but I also have less cash flow because of it, which is kind of interesting. So I thought, there's a couple of things. One, because of the cost of carrying cars, even if I wasn't losing my job, I should probably just be prudent and downsize. So that's one strike against keeping all the cars. The second thing is not having as much cash flow as I used to, and certainly not being employed, means that, especially because of the running costs of just keeping these cars, it's probably prudent to start shedding some of that, especially from the insurance side of it, as well as freeing up the garage, as well as freeing the money out of the car. So I don't finance the cars, I do save up, and when I have the money to buy them, I buy them. But so that means I have money tied up in these cars, and that way, now I can free that up, put that money back into savings. I don't know how long I'll be out of work. I'm certainly going to look at that, but I'll probably take a little time for myself, a little me time, and then put that money into savings or into a cash account so that I can use it to live on as well. So that is another consideration. The other consideration is buying something that I really, really want in the future. Now that's kind of hard for me to say because I don't know that freeing up the money here, I'm taking all that money and maybe even supplementing it with the cash that I have on hand is going to get me the car of, I don't want to say not of my dreams because all these were dream cars to me. I never imagined ever being able to own any one of them, not to mention multiples. But, I probably am not in a position, nor will I be, to ever buy kind of the perfect car, right? If I had all the resources in the world, I would probably get one of the Huracan convertibles, the Huracan Spiders, the Lamborghini. I think they are awesome looking. Now, there's a lot of other great looking cars out there, and some of them are getting affordable, including like the Acura R8, I think was a great looking car, but it wasn't necessarily the pinnacle of mid-engine cars to me. But I certainly wouldn't mind having one, and they're starting to look attractive in pricing. But if I could get a car that would satisfy more of my needs on one, a car that was just kind of drop dead sexy, fun to drive, and maybe like in the Alfa Romeo 4C, because it comes from the Chrysler parts bin, I don't have as many issues with running costs or maintenance or some of the foibles. Like this Grand Sport is great, But if things break on it, it can be a trip to eBay to try to find these parts because they're just really, really hard to find and you got to get them salvaged, right? No one's making them. In fact, I saw a video by Ron's Rides, and his dealership had a Grand Sport in, I believe, and the start button failed, and nobody has the start button. And I'm certainly not selling mine out of there. So I think they are going to have to deconstruct it and figure out how to repair it, because I don't think you're ever going to find one, unless you can find one in a junkyard, and then who knows if that's going to work either. So it just becomes kind of an ongoing exercise where if you're retired or low employed, have a lot of free time on your hand, working on cars can be a lot of fun. I like it. But just when I do full-time work and then I jump on YouTube or podcasting, it just doesn't leave me as much time to kind of just elbow grease and wrench on stuff that I used to be able to do. So that's another consideration, is just kind of simplifying my life. And then, like I said, freeing up that cash so that if, a car like that comes around at the right price point, maybe I can jump on it at that point. But especially while I am not employed, certainly underemployed, I would probably say that my focus will be on just kind of weathering the storm, weathering the income interruption, probably not buying a lot of stuff. Now, that doesn't mean a great deal comes up and you have to jump on it, which I definitely like. I call it opportunity money. When you have some money on hand, it gives you the opportunity to snag a sweet, sweet deal, which is, like I said, what I tried to do on all of these. So that might happen, and I would love to show that to you. But the reality is, despite the fact that I'm not doing this simply because I got laid off, it's something I've been kicking around in my mind. And because I got laid off, and because I was already on the fence about it, that was just enough of a factor that kind of tipped me over the edge to decide, hey, what I should do is start moving some of this stuff. Now, like I said, dream cars. That kind of pains me to say, because I tell you what, this Plymouth Prowler to me, despite the fact that they made almost 5 times as many Plymouth Prowlers as they did the Maserati Grand Sports here, I absolutely loved Plymouth Prowlers. When that car came out, I thought it was drop dead gorgeous. I wanted one as soon as I saw them. They were obviously crazy expensive, and I was a kid and I didn't have any money. And, that one was the very first fun car that you've seen on the channel here that I bought, and I was so excited to get it, man. I still love it. That car gets so much attention on the road. It is crazy. I know people do reaction videos all the time when they're McLarens and their Lamborghinis, but I tell you, when you put the top down on this one, you get thumbs up, yells. I've had people pull up to the lights and kids roll down their windows and ask about it from the rear seat. It is probably the most engaging car from that standpoint that I've ever owned. And I've owned some other cool cars too in my day. Now, that one pains me. And to be really honest, I want to tell you what ended up happening. That car is sold and it is going imminently. Within the next 24 hours, it's being picked up by a shipper. And I am heartbroken to see that one go because I really loved it. I actually did not plan on selling that one. What I ended up doing was I listed the Grand Sport because despite the fact that I love the Grand Sport, this was a car that I really liked. I love the Ferrari power plant. I really love the interior on it. This one was a deal that ended up being the right deal on this car. It was not at the top of my list of cars to get, but it was the right car at the right time, and I think I got it at a fair price, and it was kind of the state and shape and maintenance level that I really wanted and I required on it. And so I have enjoyed this car and had a great time on it. But I listed this one for sale thinking, well, this one can move on. It's maybe more desirable because of the name brand. It's rarer. It's Ferrari powertrain, all of those things. But I tell you what, I listed it for sale and I got some interest on it, but it never got to the point where it was the right deal to make. So I thought, well, I'll list the Prowler too and possibly just sell whatever one I can make the right deal on first, and then I'll keep the other one. So after a few weeks of having this car listed, I went ahead and listed the Prowler, and that Prowler got interest right out of the gate. I mean, within the first hour of me listing it, I started getting emails and inquiries and cash offers and all sorts of stuff, even trade requests and asks. And there was just so much opportunity on it. And finally, someone just offered me what I was listing it at. And I kind of was surprised on that because I didn't think I would get the full money. You always kind of give yourself a little room to negotiate on them. So, well, I had a deal. I had the car listed for a certain price and someone offered it to me and we made a deal. And not only that, but he was, it sounds like a really great guy. So that just shows you, I think, how much interest there is on Prowlers, which is amazing because it's not necessarily reflected in the price. There's still very affordable cars, but that one just went right away. And then I thought, well, I'll pull the old Maserati off here, despite the fact that that Prowler has so much sentimental value and is nostalgic for me, I'll just keep one, and I'll still have one fun car around here. Despite that, some people might say that the Ghibli is also a fun car. I think this is a little more of a grocery getter, but I thought I'd pull this one. And then wouldn't you know it, a couple days after, I reached out to a guy who wants to make a deal on the Maserati, and that's in so much as he is on his way out here to take a look at it, and so it sounds like he's really, really interested in it. So despite having this one up listed for a few weeks and thinking it wasn't going to sell, and selling the Prowler, and then being comfortable thinking, well, I'll just keep this one and that'll be my summer car. It looks like they are both going this week, which is why I wanted to do this video today, because I'm running out of week here to share the news with you. So I'm going to be down 2 cars here, possibly in the next 3 or 4 days, which is kind of mind-blowing because I can't believe they're going. You know, I didn't make a lot of money on these cars. You know, to be really honest, when I calculate everything that I've gotten in them, I'm probably in them and out of them at the same price. Despite the fact that I've had the Prowler for a couple of years and this one for maybe a little more than a year, I didn't have a long time with them, but I am really grateful and happy that I've had maybe the 4 combined years with them, but I am sorry to see them go. The benefit of this is it frees up some garage space. I always thought about what I was going to do with the garage here, maybe put in a lift. Not even sure that the height of the garage allows that, but it allows me to not have to deal with that and spend some money to modify my garage, and also frees up potentially space in my garage right now so that, like I said, the right deal comes along, I can jump on it. Anyway, that is a very long story here. So as I was saying, you shouldn't feel bad for me. You never feel bad for a guy with multiple cars, I guess. But things will get a lot simpler around here for a little while. Still be looking at great products. I've got a lot of stuff that I've picked up and have been meaning to show you, so I'm excited about that. And I am looking forward to getting something that should really be maybe something that I want to keep in the collection for a very long time. So I definitely have my alerts set up. I'm looking for that, but I certainly do want to get back to working as quickly as possible. You know, despite the fact that you can go without an income, I don't know that I'm of the personality type that ever wants to go without the income. And so it's just going to be, peace of mind for myself when I get back out there. So working on the resume, actually hired a gentleman to do that for me. So he's interviewed me a couple times here and is helping me put together something that hopefully will be kind of the key into the next opportunity. I will talk a little bit more on the podcast about kind of corporate structure and things like that. So if you're interested in that, it's not really a career talk, but it's kind of one of the things that I think is challenging in a corporate environment where you're kind of being innovative and stretching, I think, the thinking sometimes. And sometimes it just doesn't work. You know, sometimes it doesn't take, sometimes it doesn't have a business case, sometimes it does well, but people aren't ready for it. You know, so I think, you know, it's one of those things where you can look from the outside in and say, hey, maybe that's not a role I want to take in product innovation and those types of things. But I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think it's a really exciting one because when you have your successes, they're really, really quite good. But on the flip side of it, when things don't go well, you might find yourself out of a job, you know, and no fault of your own sometimes. And sometimes companies don't want to let people go, but they're just really are the resources as, you know, they're kind of getting organized and trying to stay profitable. So that's just kind of the long and short of it. I appreciate all of your support. I basically, it's a long-winded way for me to say, I appreciate you guys that have subscribed, because I would never be able to do this without you. I had no idea we would have as many people following the channel as we do, so I'm super grateful for that. All of the things here, you know, I really owe to you guys that have stuck with it and supported me while I'm doing this. And it's been a lot of long days, you know, at work, and then long evenings doing some of these videos, but I've enjoyed every second of it. And so I'm looking forward to doing a lot more. So hopefully this is just kind of one of those interesting stories that falls on the highway of this YouTube channel. I am really, really appreciative of it, and we'll look forward to seeing more from you soon. Thanks. Peter Von Panda. Out.